now we're in the work session. So, welcome. Sorry you had to wait so long. Emergency Operation Plan. Oh, good.
Commissioners, thank you for taking the time. I want to be real respectful of your time because you have been here for a while.
Thank you, sir.
We're all about time. So the Emergency Operations Plan is the document that we use in the state of Kansas by statute that becomes law in the event of a disaster. So when I come up and I make a suggestion to the Board of County Commissioners that we need to declare a disaster for Leavenworth County and all jurisdictions within, it's the Emergency Operations Plan goes into effect. And when I say goes into effect, there's a number of emergency support functions that we would call upon, and I'm going to use ESF 1, Emergency Support Function 1, which is transportation. I might be calling on Ms. Harmon for that fact to assist in evacuation. Mr. Knoll, in the event that we need to start moving supplies, things to that nature. This document was reviewed, and we had to go back and redo it again. But we feel comfortable with the way the document is put together. What's nice about this document as to oppose the one that I brought to you here several months back, we can change anything. I can make this the Board of County Commissioners Emergency Operations Plan 2025 in that title in a matter of seconds. So the changes within the planning process is very simple. Understand that when we did this planning cycle that it was all inclusive, utilizing department heads, cities, throughout Leavenworth County as well as the metro area. And there's a number of folks that were very well involved throughout this processing to make sure that we didn't have anything left out. The way state of Kansas looks at developing a plan is through emergency support functions. And each emergency support functions is listed 1 through 15, and I didn't provide you with this, and I apologize for that. But each one of them has a primary role and a support role of what those individuals will do. So in transportation, for an example, if you go ahead and bring that one up, it shows that myself as the Director of Emergency Management would be the coordinator, but the primary agencies within that is going to be Council on Aging and public schools, and that's because of the school buses and things to that nature. As you can see, the supporting agencies come into play under that who would happen to fall into play if we had to do evacuation, if we had to move food from a distribution center to a school for sheltering. So that's where that all comes into transportation. So each one of them has a specific tasking when we go through there. We're guided by the Kansas Planning Standards, and that was the document that has the highlights on there. And those are the main updates that we did through there throughout the planning process. I don't know if you want me to go through each and every one of those, if you've had time to read that, but it's the 4-page document that had the various different ESFs that the Kansas Planning Standards requires us to look at and describe on how we're going to operate in the event of a disaster. Understand that the Emergency Operations Plan is a huge toolbox nowadays. And where it used to be this very thick document of 600 and some odd pages, I know that what I provided you is the basic plan. And there's a lot of red boxes in there, and that's in there for a reason, because we don't want that all to go out to the general public to know how we're going to be putting up our battle rhythm and game plan in the event of a disaster. Because terrorism is built into this. Cybersecurity is built into this. Biohazard plans are into this, and so on and so forth. So we want to make sure that we keep that under protection as much as possible. So when I say a toolbox, it goes into a lot of different avenues that we as an emergency management and the users of this document can actually go in and bring up these items one by one. And the first one we have up there is called the Kansas EOP Mapper. And if you'll bring that up. Map of here, and then it's got a number of filters that we can put in there. So see if you can find, go ahead and put railroads in there real quick. And it'll populate, and it'll show us what the railroads are, and move forward through there of the different areas of concern. Once you put in there for the hazardous material side of it, you can.
Is this a public website or is this a closed to the?
This is a closed website, sir. And again, it's set up as such so we don't allow the bad guys, if you will, to look at that and say, hey, we know what they're going to be doing. Yeah, you know what gas pipelines in there. Yeah. The gas pipelines is the next thing that's coming up, and all the pipelines within Leavenworth County and surrounding that run through the area. Through this document, and as I was saying, there's a number of items that's actually embedded into it as well that we can go into and find out, okay, who owns this pipeline? We can find out the information right there at our fingertips. Not only is it updated by us, but it's also updated by the state of Kansas and also on the federal level. If a sale of Kansas gas services is changed, it would show up on our map even if we didn't have to put that into that particular processing. So with that in mind, we've gone since 2020 with COVID into a virtual aspect as far as communicating with our partners. We'll go up to WebEOC. WebEOC is it's a statewide, it's also in the KC Metro, of what we'll be looking at. We have the opportunity to put information in there, and then the state of Kansas can see our situational awareness set up. We also can share that internally with folks. If you'll go to the drop-down box and bring up the 360. No, on the far corner over here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, come down to. So this is kind of just to show you, this is something Thomas County did on public power outage. This goes clean across the state, but it's also shared within their own folks that they have in there. And then it's color-coded to show, is this a true emergency or is it an advisory? So it gives us a good situational awareness board, and this is continuous. Once a disaster starts, it's continuous. It doesn't shut off. And any record that you put in there is a permanent record. So if you go in there and put something in there by mistake and you hit the send button, everybody's out there to see it. So you have to be on your toes when that goes through. But it's a good tool to utilize. If you go under the 360 again, let me see what we got there. Go down to County View 360. Is that where you're at now? Yeah, County View. There's a lot of stuff that's embedded into each one of those tabs that we can go into and utilize that when we're building an incident action plan, when we're looking at our debris management, whatever it might be that's associated within the county. We have this as a permanent document that we can provide to the state, we can provide to the federal government when it comes to reimbursement of funds and things to that nature. As you can see, it shows the county EOC, which is us specific, then it goes to county, which is all 105 counties across the state, and then the state of Kansas itself. I don't know much more to explain to you. I'm going to give you guys opportunity as a commission to ask questions, and I'm more than willing to answer those as we go through there. Now, the reason we do a proclamation instead of a resolution is that this is not, it's a permanent document, but it's a, it's a changing document. So annually, we're changing this. So if you had a resolution, then the plan is as it was on today's date. I'm using that for an example. And the promulgation allows us to make those changes until we have to have the new plan, which is in 2029. So in October of 2029, the new plan will be updated and ready to come back before the board for an additional proclamation for the county on the emergency operations plan. Hope that makes sense.
I can go back to a different tab if you need to as well, if you want to review it.
Looks great so far.
Roland.
I just didn't want to bore you folks with a lot of information that I've already provided you. I do have a login and password. I did not give that to Becky because I didn't want to go into a public folder.
Yeah.
That you folks are more than willing to
Okay.
use that.
Thanks, Doug.
On the HAZVAT, that'll give you the opportunity to have that, to look at it. When we make a change in this document right here, it automatically reflects back into the overall plan. So go to the very top, please. If I was to make it, like I said earlier, into the introduction tab, if I was to make that, whatever we want to, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Once that comes up, that gives us the ability to change this to whatever we want to change. So down where it says regular tax, yeah, right, regular tax, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We can change that right there. I can call this anything we want to call it. And once we hit save, it's going to save it to all those PDF files that's on the side. So it's very user-friendly. We started with EFM Consultants back in, 2006, when we wanted a one-stop shop for all of our planning process. We also have in here, with our planning tool, we have our hazard analysis. And our hazard analysis is what hazards do we have within the county that drives our emergency operations plan for the planning process that we're going through.
Is this an appropriate time for questions, Chair? Or
Oh, sure. There's a lot of information.
there's just kind of general questions I have. What's the largest need for? Have we had any injuries from tornadoes, or what's the largest need for hospital care or people to respond to an emergency that we've had?
Commissioner, knock on wood, we have not had any major catastrophic injuries. 2019 was huge. I cannot believe that with all that damage that we had no injuries. In Tonganoxie tornado that went through in 2000,
Yep.
we had one fatality that happened, and it was an adolescent young lady that I think she was 10 years old, but the porch collapsed on top of her
Oof.
in the city of Tonganoxie. Other than that, I mean, we've had numerous floodings and things of that nature. We have not really had any mass casualty scenarios that would deplete our medical response.
It's been a topic this election cycle, whether Leavenworth County is in a position to respond to, heaven forbid, a school shooting or something of that nature. So can you talk on what level you think we're at in the ability to respond to something tragic?
Understand that any time we have a major incident such as a school shooting, it's going to be total chaos for first couple hours. And I'm being honest with you up front just because of everything that's going on. But for us as a county to be able to respond, and that's all the municipalities built in. When I talk about county, I'm talking about all the cities, counties, school districts, and what have you. With our partnerships that we have, each school district has their own emergency operations plan. Each hospital has their own emergency operations plan. And every one of them reflect back to our emergency operations plan. So their roles and responsibilities is already spelled out. They know what they're supposed to be doing. They know how to respond. I feel very confident that if we have a major incident, that we would handle it very, very well. I can't say it would be perfect, but I feel that we would have very good cooperation amongst all folks in working through the incident.
And we saw what happened potentially in one of the Texas situations where there was reports of officers just standing outside while things were continuing to escalate inside. So I had met with the chief of police when I got on the school board to make sure that he would go into the building immediately and those kind of things. But just thought I would have you state publicly that you believe we're in good shape. Thank you.
And we practice. Y'all still practice this, don't you, Jim? You still practice?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We do exercise on a regular basis.
Because I remember you did when I was over there, yeah.
We've had exercises. We're getting ready to do another one next Wednesday. Actually, we're doing it with St. Mary University. We're bringing the fire and EMS, law enforcement, stuff like that on the mass casualty
I get you, Mike.
incident on site. Rachel has developed a program that when we talk about the emergency support functions, that we bring those folks to the table. So everybody had listed in ESF1, for an example. We would bring those partners to the table. We would explain their roles and responsibility, give them an opportunity to communicate, what is it that I really need to know? What is it? Or do you feel comfortable with what we've placed out here? They've been part of the planning process, but when you start bringing it all together, now is the time to work through that process. But we have a small exercise after each one of those ESF functions. First one was ESF1. It was just bad timing. We have not actually kicked that off. It was just a scheduling conflict, not on our side, on the other folks. But
Okay.
We'll be doing that moving forward.
Good. Mike?
Could you show us, using this emergency operations plan, following up with what Commissioner Reed said, let's say we had a school shooting. What would you reference in your plan, or how would that? Do we have a specific place we'd go to look?
Chad, wait just a second. Is that stuff that we share?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we should do that offline.
Well, I mean, you don't have to share the specifics. You don't have to read it, but just show me how you'd get to it.
Okay, go down to ESF 13.
Okay, the part in the book. Okay, Mike.
ESF 13 is our security portion on public safety. So when we bring up, just go ahead and click on it. It's
Yeah,
not going to have
just the
anything until we get
introduction.
down in there.
Yeah.
But these are all the people that are involved into that process if it was a school shooting. As you can see, the coordinator of that's going to be the sheriff's office, its primary agency, and working with the other agencies that are built in with that as supporting agencies. I just happen to see that Tonganoxie's not in there, so we'll have to add that to Tonganoxie.
Okay.
But we want to make sure that we would have that information, Commissioner, up front before the incident.
So each school is going to have their own emergency operations plan, correct?
Correct.
And then when there is an incident, whatever it is, they're going to refer to this plan. They're going to go to their plan. They're also going to refer to.
They're not going to refer to our plan, because understand that the school district, that is their plan. That's how they're going to react. But what we don't want them to do is saying, hey, we're going to contact Leavenworth City Commission for a tanker truck, and I'm just using that for an example. It has to go through us as far as the emergency manager to bring that resource to play, so they understand that they just can't. It all comes to a tracking and an accountability processing as we work through any major event.
So are they going to know? I mean, this is going to tell them who I call first, second, third, what law enforcement I integrate with, all of that.
That's correct.
Okay.
Contact.
With that said, now again, each school district is going to be different, and that plan is specific to that school district. USD 453 has their own plan that addresses that. We work with them and we have exercised with them on mass shootings, on tornadoes, things to that nature, when we bring their staff together to make sure that they understand what that role and that responsibility is.
And just on, let's just take, since we're just dealing with one thing here, mass shootings. When's the last time you had a exercise with the public schools in the county?
I don't want to go schools in plural, but it would have been, I was trying to think, did we do one?
The sheriff's office has done,
Yeah,
but we personally have not
we've
done an exercise.
We haven't done one here in the last probably 8 months or so. It was actually Kickapoo, or Pleasant Ridge, I'm sorry, is where we did the last exercise. But where we've actually sat down with staffing and things of that nature, St. Mary University was probably the latest.
Have we had a meeting with all of our school districts on this issue within the last 2 years, with all of them?
Yeah.
So we have.
We've reached out.
And we've had a exercise related to this?
We've had, not for all the schools. We've done it for individual schools over a period of the last 3 years. Each school has seen not a mass shooting, we call it active shooter exercise, and or a tornado exercise.
Is this something that's supposed to happen? I haven't read your document, but is it supposed to happen yearly, or how often does this exercise supposed to happen?
We're required by the state to have 2 exercises a year, and then our integrated planning workshop, which is part of that. We exceed that doing tabletop exercises through our processing. A lot of it comes to timing. How can you folks meet? And we got to do such a far range of timing to get schools, to get all their staffing and their officials together to work through that. So it's not like I can call up and say, hey, we're going to do a tabletop exercise at your school here in the next 2 weeks. We have to plan that out way in the future. And we're actually getting ready to do our integrated integrated planning workshop here in 2 weeks. And schools are invited to that. I know Annie Sloan just recently said that she'd be there from USD 453 and some of the other school districts. So they'll be there.
Do you usually get attendance from all of the schools?
Not generally. We try.
We've had at least 1 or 2. I wouldn't say all.
But we share that information with the schools when we're done.
Now, have you read, what do we have, 7 or 9 school districts in the, I don't know how many school districts we have. Do you know?
I think we've got
There's
7.
7. Have you read all of their emergency operations plans, and you see that you feel satisfied that on the active shooter that they do have preparations for that?
I'm saying yes, just for the fact I feel confident that their plan came from the Department of Education on the state level, which I was one of the developers of that template plan. The only thing with the template was when you fill in the blanks, sometimes it doesn't get shared. And shame on us for doing that, but at least got that plan. I have reviewed each one of the plans within the county. They sit on my desktop. I can review them and ask them, hey, we need to update. You still have XYZ as a superintendent. You need to update your plan to reflect on those basics. They all covered the same thing. And the reason rationale behind that, Commissioner, is because we don't want this school district practicing one way and this school district practicing a different way. This way they're practicing the same way, so when it comes together, they go, oh, yeah, you guys do this the same way we do. So that was the whole process and purpose of bringing those plans together so they're like. Now, I can tell you that I don't have Douglas counties because they just take in a small portion of our county, and the same with Bonner Springs. Neither one of their school district is actually in our county. And the same with Union Township with a school in McLeod. We don't have affiliation with them.
So this active shooter thing, also coordinating with the fire departments, do they involve themselves in this training as well?
We're working on that. That is one of when we talked about this last year through our planning process, is that felt it was important to make sure that all law enforcement officers first know. There's been training for the first responders. We did one in Baser here a couple years ago, but we're working on getting that implemented back into the process. We thought it was important to make sure that law enforcement knows how to go in, do their walkthrough, however they're going to do their grab the bad guy, and then follow up with the first responders.
All right, that's all I have.
One thing, and it's been years, so please forgive me. I remember years ago when everything was going on, we had a thing called incident command or incident classes we took.
That's the command.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
that everybody was, there's levels 100, 200, and 300. Is that still ongoing?
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioners, it is.
Okay.
Actually, it's one of those documents that everybody that's in public safety needs to have the 100, 200 series. And then it moves up to the 300. And
Yeah, I had to go through that. Yeah, it's been a few years. Okay, thank you.
I've got a document that's got your name on it down in my office.
Was that?
Name on it.
That's
That's from
got-
1950.
That paper's got to be yellow. Okay. Okay.
When the Linwood tornado was happening, you were established a command center downstairs here, right? So if there is another tornado going forward, any changes in operational guidance that you're going to have for the next storm, or is your plan to be here?
My plan will be here. I mean, I'll be supporting those issues. I know Administrator Lawfrey called me that night and says, where are we at? What are we going to do? And I was trying to get a picture painted to know where we were going to move forward. But we met that night here to get policy and procedures implemented and start working on the the responsive mode throughout that process.
And is this one of the things I remember? That this is just a memory. I remember we didn't have dumpsters that were part of the plan at that time, and we provided those in Linwood. Is that within this plan to provide dumpsters, or is that in a different plan?
Dumpsters is in the debris management plan.
Debris
which is
management.
implemented into this process.
All right.
And the reason the rationale we didn't have, we discussed that about having dumpsters. Where are you going to put them when you're in rural Leavenworth County? Without, I could have put one in the city of Linwood. The city of Linwood wasn't hit. It was on the outskirts. And if you had a confined area, subdivision or something of that nature, dumpster would have been appropriate. But then you're looking at how many dumpsters are you going to be going through. So there's a lot of calculations that go into that.
I think we ended up putting one in Linwood though, because people were bringing it.
Yeah,
But I think
down there by the
But anyway, thank you.
Vanessa, do you have something? Yes.
That's all I have, Commissioners, unless the next step would get the proclamation on the agenda to get us done.
I only have one other question. Well, thank you. Thank you both. When something like this happens, say it's a shooting or a disaster or whatever, who do you relay the information? Who do you report to first to let them know what's going on so it'll get out to, like, county commissioners? I mean, do you report to Marty? Is it the sheriff? How do we get that information back? Because I guarantee you we get a million questions as soon as something happens. Where do you hand it off to?
When I was under the sheriff, it went to the sheriff. However, my information was also shared with the administrator.
Okay.
And that would be
I just need to know who to call.
where it would go from there. If it's going to be newsworthy, let's put it that way. If it's going to be newsworthy, I'm going to be contacting Mr. Lawfrey to make sure.
Okay.
you guys-
Very good. Is that it, folks? Is that dark in here? Is the sun going down?
It
What's
did
going on?
dark.
Okay. Thank you, folks.
Thank you very much.
Is there anything else?
Yeah.
If not, we're adjourned.
See you later.
We adjourn. Hey, Mark, you got a second? Come on, Mike.